I think it's where people are pigeonholed, or even worse than that, abused because of their perceived religious and sometimes cultural identity. I think from what I hear from people who are, let's say, kind of out of the mainstream, that those of us who are perhaps, classically Scottish, white, Church of Scotland, are in the mainstream, and naturally, because we're in the majority, we don't have a problem. But I think if you have friends that are outside that mainstream, you do hear that some people do have difficulties. I think any label that's attached to people in a negative way is a form of sectarianism. Anything that limits their capacity to be everything they could be and lead the lives they want to lead is a form of sectarianism. Sectarianism is limiting other people's capacities, entitlements, putting limits on the dignity and their expectations of being treated just like human beings. I think for the first thing would be a much more creative place, because I think having a diversity of human experience creates a much more exciting and interesting society, and a society that's capable of looking at its problems from many different viewpoints, not just one. And I think that having a diversity of viewpoints is what leads to really good solutions, good answers to problems. And I think, as well as answering problems, it makes simply for a more interesting society, more interesting life for everybody. Who wants to be all the same anyway? Well, I think it'd be naive to say that it was easy. There's always someone wanting to make something more of their own point of view and pushing ahead and ignoring other people's point of view. And sadly, this is just a challenge that we've got to bear. But I think we can start by realising that even if we're not suffering from the effect of sectarianism ourselves, that other people are, and listen to them. Take them seriously. And don't be complacent about it. And speak up when we have to make sure that everybody gets the same fair rights as everyone else. No, I don't think so, not in the classic sense. I suppose I belong to that mainstream. But like many people, there have been times I've felt that perhaps the way's been barred because maybe I was the wrong gender, or I was the wrong age. I have had a sense that sometimes it wasn't just me and my capacities that were being assessed, but a kind of label that was being attached to me. I think I know how that feels. Maybe it hasn't limited me as much as it's limited other people, but I know how it feels, and it's not nice. It's not fair. I think openness and honesty, it's not easy for anyone to admit that they are prejudiced, but the truth is we all are. We all have some prejudices. And I think if we were more honest about just our capacity as human beings to sometimes fall by the wayside that way, and realise that we all have prejudices, even the best of us, then we would take some small step. It's not right to make out that because you say, I'm fair-minded, I'm not racist, I'm not sectarianist, that makes you so. We all have some degree of prejudice built in. So that would be the first thing I think I'd hope for. A bit of honesty.